Hello, Internet! We are here with Rapscallion. We've just kind of gone live here, so if any audio's off or anything's funky, please let us know in chat. That would be great, so that we can adjust that for you. But I am here today with some amazing players, and I'm super nervous because I haven't played this system before. It looks really fun, but I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. I'm like, I'm gonna learn a system, and then I'm never gonna play it again. I'm gonna learn a new system. So here we are learning a new system with Rapscallion. It is a pirate RPG. It's a 2d6 system, and man, we are about to get into some hijinks. If you're just joining us, this is Insight Checked. We roll with TTRPGs on Sunday mornings, and we have video games on Thursdays and board games sporadically. So welcome in. I'm Allison. I'm the GM. I'm going to turn it over to these wonderful players to introduce themselves and to introduce their characters. So let's start with Tech. Let's start with you.
Greetings. I'm Zainab, also known as Tech. I'm a general RPG player that just really started in the pandemic. And I also do art, which you see on the stream, maybe, I don't know.
Yes!
My character is Giles. He is a up-and-coming cartographer eager to make his name known, and already getting gray hair because of the stress he puts himself under. And he is with our ragtag group of pirates because he needs someone that's going to take him to the ends of the earth and not question it.
Love it. What does Giles look like?
He has dark brown hair, glasses. He has bags underneath his eyes because he has stayed up entirely too late doing research, and he has some gray hairs wisping through there. He's not exactly athletic or anything like that. He's very much been like in a library and in an office his whole life, so clearly he's gonna survive really well on this ship and not have any issues.
Love it. Awesome. And what's his motivations and weaknesses?
Was it specials and weaknesses?
Weaknesses should be on a part of your character sheet, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So weaknesses: he has migraines, which seems very on par with him. When I compel when hearing a loud noise, take 2 harm or go down 4. So he's not gonna have a fun time. Motivations, I mean, general motivations. He wants to be well known in the scientific community. He wants to make a name for himself. He's young, and wants to impress his peers and his mentors. So he wants his claim to fame to be the charts that he makes.
Awesome. Thank you. Who's next on our motley crew here? Let's do Pauline. Welcome. Introduce yourself and your character.
Hi everyone, I'm Pauline. I play a lot of RPGs in my spare time, also sort of starting at the pandemic, because I was like, I've wanted to do this for a while, and now I have time. In this adventure, I will be playing Lavinia Whitewall, sometimes called Softheart, who is the matelot, the big, tough bruiser of this crew. She's about 6 feet tall, very buff, lots of scars, blonde with an undercut, lots of piercings, and a very interesting tattoo that's basically just like a dense star field that just sort of covers most of her body, and it might be magical. She is driven to protect some of the crew and some people in particular, but is also looking to figure out if that's all there is to her life, or if there's more out there for her. And then her weakness is that, she's kind of pissed. So sometimes, if she's insulted, she'll fly into a rage and do something dumb. And then someone just needs to, sit her down and have her take a breather. So.
Awesome. So excited to meet this character. How about Elena? Introduce yourself and introduce your character.
Yes, hi. New to the stream. I've been playing RPGs since some years, mostly as DM or DM most of the time. And I will be playing Zakif, a genie who has been freed, but not really freed, from his magical book by Giles, who somehow stumbled upon this magical book. And Zakif wants to find a way to permanently escape this book because he's still bound to it. He can't go much. He can't really go away from it for too long of a distance. Has to be careful that no other people get their hands on this book, because if they do, he'll have to listen to them. And his weakness is that he wants to learn what he can do to get himself out of his situation. So whenever he sees some new books or an opportunity to gain new knowledge, he will be compelled to investigate the situation, read the books.
Awesome. Sounds like we got a bunch of book nerds on this ship. I'm excited. What does the keep look like?
Stereotypical blue genie with a pirate twist.
Awesome. And kind of floaty, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
With the feet bound to the book at all times.
Very cool. And last but not least, Kimberly, introduce yourself and your character.
Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly. I started playing like D&D when the pandemic started with, and you know, I just had no idea what it really was, and that campaign has lasted longer than my last 2 relationships combined, so it's been great. I enjoyed it a lot, and so this is my second like crew in a game. And my character her name is Jolene. She is about like 5'4". She has like huge, like voluptuous, like black hair, emerald eyes. She likes to wear like long skirts and dresses, and she likes to like show a little bit of skin here and there, you know, when it is convenient for her. And let me see. Well, I mean, she has struggled with a lot of things, and she's been really like resilient with everything that's happened to her, and I think that's just made her want to pursue her freedom. And freedom to her means being not depending economically on anyone, being able to own her body and be her own boss, so to say. She loves dancing. She started, you know, dancing for money, but now she just does it as pleasures that also brings her freedom. Let's see. She has a whip. She loves using her whip. And when it comes to her weaknesses, she's very, very vengeful. So she will hurt whatever has hurt her, because that's her response to things to protect herself. And but at the same time, like, I think she's a very loving person. So she just likes hugging people. Yeah, she just likes showing and receiving affection. And she's about 27 years old, and she just wants to find as much freedom and doing things that make her feel like no one owns her.
Awesome. I am so excited to meet this crew. And I know we sort of talked about this a bit, but what does your ship look like, and what's your ship's name? Because the ship is also a character in this game.
Well, I think the ship is like made of used parts. You know, some of them at work, some of them like are jammed, so you have to like really like kick them and hit them for them to work. But it works. It works.
Can someone add on to that? What's on your flag? What flag do you fly?
I think it's very homemade. It's very clearly a flag that we made ourselves at some point, and I think it's a book with a sword going through it, and then like a couple little skulls somewhere to look menacing.
Awesome. Any other details about the ship?
Wait, so what do we have? It's a book and then a sword on top of it?
Yes.
Stabbing through it.
Yeah, stabbing through it.
We
Nerd.
really encompass all of our mutual interests.
Maybe like
Books and
blood.
stabbing.
Is the book
Blood
bleeding?
flowing. Yeah, the book is bleeding.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we agree. It's the ship's official name is the Stern Stalker.
What?
Love it.
What is the stern?
The stern
back
is
of the
the
boat.
back of the ship.
Oh.
By the
okay.
way, I have, thanks to Alex, shout out to Alex if you're watching, a picture of a boat with all the pieces of the boat labeled, and I'm not going to remember any of them. So that's just a resource that's here to make me feel bad. But yeah, we can definitely refer to it as back of boat, front of boat.
Yeah.
If there are any amateur sailors in the chat, we apologize for
Really,
slandering your
truly.
hobby.
Really, truly. All right, crew of the Stern Stalker. But I'm sorry, did I cut you off on the nickname of the boat?
Well, I don't think I should say what the boat's nickname is.
The boat's real name,
Uh-huh.
according to Giles,
Uh-huh.
who's best friends with the boat,
Yep.
is Frank. And Giles is the only one apparently that can speak to Frank. But just so everyone knows, his true name is Frank. His nickname is the Stern Stalker. That's just going to be his DBA in pirate language. But he is Frank at heart.
Awesome. Well, crew of the Stern Stalker / Frank, you find yourselves in a port town. It is a town that you have dropped anchor in before. Good place to restock on things. Lots of kind of fruits are available here. And as you know, scurvy is no one's friend. So right on the dock, as you disembark from your ship, you will kind of be hit in the everything sensory with fruit smell. There's little buzzing flies. There's like that sickly sweetness in the air of like bananas that have been in the sun too long. Everything is just sweet and sticky and fragrant. The air is thick and humid. Palms are swaying in the breeze as there is just this little marketplace of vendors right by the dockside. You have, oh boy, all these ship terms. You have tied up your Stern Stalker ship here so that it's kind of in the bay with all of the other ships, and they're just kind of rocking gently in the waves. The sky is clear. The sun is beating down on you. You can feel like the sweat underneath where your hat or your bandana is kind of like catching in your collar and kind of scraping awkwardly at any exposed skin. You feel that like peeling sensation of old sunburn from like the sun beating down on you out in the open ocean. But you hear all around you the sound of folks crying out with their wares. And you also see a tavern kind of set into the side of a mountain that is rising up from the middle of this island. And it is kind of low lit and shady and looks very cool in comparison to the hot temperature everywhere else on the island. What do you think the name of this island is?
I think Coconut Island.
Sounds good to me. Coconut Island is a place that's very centrally located. So there's a lot of ships coming in and out, people who are on their way to somewhere else, or people who just want to stay for a while. So you do see a lot of people drinking fermented juice, sitting in the sand, just kind of like made their own little sandcastle with their butt wriggling down into the sand with just like empty coconut shells strewn all about them, hiccuping. So that's a lot of the beach scenery. But you find yourselves, crew, in the middle of all of this bustle. And you do know that you were sent here to create a contact. Zakif, this is in particular to your quest, as well as Giles. This contact is someone from the, what is that called? The Poseidon's Institute, which is a place of learning on an island not too far from here. You were told that you had it on good authority that someone from representing that institute would be here to talk to you all today. But you know not more than that. No name, no description, just good authority that they be here.
Just like anywhere on the island.
You guys didn't pay very well in guild to get the information.
Yeah, we'll see.
But crew, what do you do? As the sights and smells of Coconut Island accost you, and you have a mark somewhere out there.
Zakif is like floating next to the rest of the crew and kind of looks around, starts scratching his head, and goes, Giles, I really think we should have paid more for that information. I mean, come on, how are we ever going to find anybody here? Do you know anything about these people from the Institute? Do they wear, like, I don't know, a specific coat or something like this?
Scholar can spot a scholar from a mile away. I'm sure that I'll just be able to tell. And plus, we can use our deduction skills. We can narrow it down. Investigate. And it's another mystery. It's another discovery. It's like a discovery inside a discovery.
Again
Amazing.
with another mystery. When do they stop?
I think the
But
pursuit of
no,
knowledge
no.
is the greatest gift. That's the very
I
exciting
did-
end of the discovery for me.
Yes.
I
didn't
agree,
mean
but you
that
have to know
to
where the
offend
knowledge
you,
is
Giles.
first.
Knowledge. I heard knowledge is power. So if in finding that we find the power, okay, you'll let's do it. You'll have my support.
From one of the booths nearby, you hear a raspy voice say, "Ah, you're looking for power, huh? Come closer, come closer. I've got lots of powerful things for sale here." You see a kind of stooped older man with like very bushy eyebrows and kind of like a limp. He's got like a cane that he's leaning on, ratty clothes, and he's in front of a stand that has lots of fruits and things, but then he also has these barrels and chests kind of nearby underneath the front counter. And he's like beckoning towards you guys with a crooked finger.
Power, you say?
Yes!
What?
Yes, for powerful pirates like yourselves.
Well, what do you have to offer?
Oh, come closer. I can't see you. Come closer.
He seems
Giles
non-threatening.
Giles has like some form of like clearly like a scientific fanny pack that he's just gonna clutch closer to his chest because he's concerned.
Yeah, Zakif does the same with his book.
We both are like, let's protect the things we own.
What does Lavinia do?
I'm just at the back, just towering over everyone. Just looking quite, just sort of very, like, stone-faced, just sort of, like, eyes narrowed, looking around.
Does Jolene approach?
Yeah, she sees this man as non-threatening, so she's just going to approach and see, like, it's gonna be like, hello, yeah, can you hear me now?
Just for the sake of kicking us off with our dice rolls, why don't you roll size up as you approach this guy? That's a roll plus your vinegar stat.
So it's a 2d6 plus vinegar?
Yep, plus your vinegar.
Okay.
And for those watching at home, the stats in this game are blood, vinegar, polish, and spitfire.
Oh.
And then call out your roll when you get your result, because goodness knows I have way too many screens open.
It's a 6.
A 6. A 6 is not a success. So in this case, you're unable to trigger those questions that otherwise would have been available to you. And you actually, in trying to size this person up, you reveal something about yourself to this person. Instead of gaining information about them, you reveal something about Jolene's character or intentions, or something that they can glean about you as you're sizing them up. What do you think you reveal to this character?
Jolene will reveal that she she was about to. That she had the intention to steal something from him, but just with her mannerisms, and he probably caught guard.
As you approach and kind of try and size him up, you reveal that just that drift of your fingers over the less expensive things in the front, just trying to see if there's a catch or a little. And he watches those fingers trail and just kind of raises one bushy eyebrow, and he's like, interesting. I invite you for information, and this is how you treat me, old Gus.
Oh, no, not at all. I was just trying to feel the fabrics of your very nice, clothes. They are indeed a very special. Yes, they are very special.
Indeed they
So
are.
I was trying to.
I believe you not for a moment. And he kind of whaps the top of your hand with one of his fingers. And at the motion, you hear in the background a squawk as this giant parrot that had been kind of in the shadows of this stand gives off a squawk as he kind of does that jerky motion. It's a huge bird, large plumage, it's like an oversized, overgrown parrot. And it has a hunch on its back just like this guy. And it goes, wah, wah, in the background.
Oh, that I didn't see that beast of yours.
Beast? This isn't a beast. This is Gus's best friend. You lady there, you stay away with that snake, I'll tell you that. And he points at Lavinia, shaking his finger.
The little tiny snake, garter snake sized snake that's just wrapped around Lavinia's neck, just sort of pokes its head up and just hisses a bit and then just goes back to sleeping.
The bird squawks in protest.
Gus's parrot named Bird. Like Gus and Bird.
Do you ask?
I'm gonna ask just in the pursuit of knowledge. I'm curious, and I'm gonna assume that Giles has not seen something like this before in his life, so he's takes out a magnifying glass and is looking at it, curious. How is it so big? I don't know if the bird will like this, truthfully.
I feel like you know more about birds than I do, so yes.
Yeah, no.
The bird ruffles its feathers, and Gus kind of shoos you away, and he's like, hey, stay on the other side of the booth if you don't mind. Now, I spoke to you of power. Get that thing away. And he swats at your magnifying glass. What kind of power do you desire?
Any that will help me control other men.
What do the rest of you say to this?
Oh, but that could just be me.
I think Zakif probably nods enthusiastically. Yep, control about other people. Yep.
Giles feels very self-conscious when he says the power of knowledge.
Well, Gus has been around the world. That's how I found my bird here. And he goes to say the name, but then realizes that's exactly what you wanted to know, and he withholds the name. He's like, my bird. Well, if you don't believe me, this bird used to be one of my crewmates. I discovered an island with the power to transform people into animals. It's nearby here. Very powerful place. They say there's a lodestone in the middle of it, where the source of this power comes from. Now, what is this information worth to you? He kind of rubs his fingers together in the universal sign of pirate money.
Do we have money?
I think so. In your kit? Does it not give you money in your kit?
We don't have much.
One guild is 500 points.
One.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
is a lot.
Good deal.
I was like, I have 1 coin. I'm so sorry, sir.
We
Rogue
all
pirates.
have 1 coin.
One deal.
Equivalent of just
One guild,
sliding over
yeah.
a quarter for information.
Acclimating to new RPGs is funny. It reminds me of traveling when you have a bunch of foreign coins in your pocket and you're like, I don't want to put this in a vending machine because it might be $100. I have no
Might be
idea.
too much money.
Yes. So on the, let's see. So yeah, just to give you a sense of how things scale here, you could buy a cutlass for 300 coins. You could buy a revolver, which I guess is cooler, for 2 guild. So that's kind of a weapon scale of things. What else is useful information? A fancy hat. I think this is the most important thing. A fancy hat is 400 coins. A pet is 2
And each-
guild. Oh, and a ship. This is good comparison. A ship would be 10 guild, roughly.
Oh.
So that's kind
And
of the
a
scale of
guild
coins.
is how many coins?
A guild, I think, is 400. Does that sound
500,
right?
I think it says 500, yeah.
500? Yep. 500 coins.
We each have 1 guild. Maybe we can pull together to buy a baby ship that like sails alongside.
Gus snaps his fingers in front of your face, Giles. I said, how much is it worth to you? Hello? Hello? He's snapping in front of all of your faces now, and
Giles is
with each
scared,
snap,
and he's gonna hide behind Lavinia because he's like very scared of this person, and he's never had this sort of interpersonal interaction before. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go just.
the bird squawks with each snap. Rah, rah, and kind of like ruffles its feathers and raises its wings. I almost said arms with each snap that he does in front of your faces.
What are
What'd you do?
wings but arms for birds?
Exactly. What do you all do as he's snapping at you kind of rudely?
The keep floats around a little bit and says, "Excuse me, dear sir, I'm not sure how making deals around this place usually works, but isn't it that usually you say what information you would disclose and then you make the deal and decide on how much it is worth instead of first
So smart!
doing it?"
The blue one. I've never seen someone like you before. You're right. But I haven't given you the best part. Where is it? And how do you get the stone? And he taps his nose.
And why is your parrot still a parrot? Don't you like your crewmate?
No, I don't. This was a favor to me.
I look at the bird and I feel very sorry.
The bird looks at you with just a dark hopelessness in its eyes.
Aw. Giles ruffles a little bit that like Zakif was called smart and not him, and he's used to being the smart one. So he's just like, I don't even think he has good knowledge, anyways. I really don't think we need him.
As
Just leave.
as Giles is kind of having his own feathers ruffled at this, you all hear the sound of a loud, kind of like clanging bell, one of those large church bells, da-dum, dum, dum, hitting into the sides of large metal that's creating a loud kind of sonorous sound. And you begin to hear the sound of a crowd reacting, murmurs, people whispering, voices shouting. As you hone in on the source of the chaos, you hear someone yell, "It's headed straight for us! It's headed straight for us!" What do you do?
Oh no!
Oh yeah, Jolene just runs out just to see what's happening.
Yeah, which direction do you run?
Before she does that, is there anything of value at this around this man's surrounding? Like were we like in a little shop? Like where were we? Like
Yeah,
was
you're-
just,
Before you
he's
leave.
standing-
Loot and scoot. Open air shop right near the docks. Let's see if there's a move for this. So you could, depending on what you want to do, you have a move to hoodwink someone with a lie, or you could use a dirty trick to, that specifies a fight, not just generally. So you could, hoodwink someone by talking to them to do a clever lie. I would say we could use a dirty trick out of combat just because I think it's a fun mechanic. So you could also do a trick to try to get behind this booth. He's already onto you, so you'd have to do something. You can't just scope it out because he's kind of like blocking the stand with his body at this point after seeing you gently touch all of his stuff when you walked up.
Yeah, maybe she'll say something like, "Oh, you just let me pick that up. You just happened to drop that," and she'll just kneel a little bit just to supposedly pick something up and put it on the stall, and then she'll try to inspect and see if there's any coins or anything of value.
On the other side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you roll for this just because he's onto you from earlier. So use a dirty trick.
Yeah.
So roll plus your vinegar.
Okay, my vinegar isn't great. He's 2d6. Oh, that was even lower. That's a 4.
Oh no. I think, well, in this case it wouldn't help, but remember ranks. So you can, anyone who has a rank, you have bond to spend with Jolene, who you've seen struggle a little bit today thus far. Yes, Zakif.
Zakif has the ability to craft small illusions that resemble picture book illustrations. So when he sees that Jolene wants to do some shady shit, he will ignore the bell and he turns to, what's his name, Gus.
Yes.
And he crafts this small, like a hologram basically of a generic island and starts to do like a map sort of style and try to coax the information out of him, like where is this animal transforming island.
Okay. Can you read the ability again for your what you can do?
It's the starter special ability or whatever. You can craft small illusions that resemble picture book illustrations. That's it.
That's cool. Okay, so are you doing this as a distraction?
I would hope so. Yeah, so that he focuses on me instead of Jolene.
Okay. I think this is easily done, but I will also have you use use this as a trick. And see if either of your rolls are successful in this scenario. Because, again, he's not trusting you guys. So go ahead and roll plus your vinegar for the outcome of this. Otherwise, he just might think it's very pretty.
Oh no, it's a 5.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
This dice bot is not kind to us.
Get the bad rolls out of the way.
There you go. So both of you failing the use a dirty trick, which means that your intentions do not come to pass, and things kind of go a little bit haywire. So Jolene, your intention to kind of snoop around the back here, as you kind of move around and try and see if there's gold or what you can find back here, you see 2 glowing red eyes underneath the counter, and you hear a low growl emitting like right in front of your face as you're kind of just taking a little look. Zakif, for your picture book illusion, you summoning, what does it look like again? Is it just kind of just a general map that you're hoping to have filled in?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like that to impact Giles's weakness. I'm going to compel Giles. You begin to feel a migraine kind of brewing right in the back of your temple here as you see Zakif creating a map that looks just as beautiful as any of the maps that you have worked months, sometimes years to create. Zakif just conjures it out of nowhere. If you'd like to resist this compel, and again, I do have a timer in chat about compels in this game, but just as like a trigger warning, this is something we've discussed as a crew here out of game. but the mechanics of this game do rely on compelling people to do things. But there is a move to resist it. So that would be stand your ground. So when you stand your ground in face of a compel, you must spend times your bond with someone relevant. Bond can be positive or negative, and explain how they're helping you overcome yourself.
But bond can only be used and expended, right? It would be like my one time using it.
Yes. Unless we create more, I guess, bond economy. Like if you have moves that create bond or rank in the game, that's very useful because then it gives you bonuses to spend later.
Giles is having a bad time. He's just not in that. He's not gonna stand his ground, and he's just gonna hope that Lavinia catches him when he inevitably passes out.
So I was gonna say, because I have a special move that I can support a crewmate, and if I spend a bond, I can do some fun stuff. So I'd like to, since Giles is sort of hiding behind me, sort of like probably feel him start to like lean against my back a bit, and just sort of I'm trying to think of how I do this. Just
We
sort
haven't even got on the sea, and Giles is having the worst time.
I'm gonna sort of turn around and basically like just essentially take Giles's head and just sort of like protect from like light and sound. And just sort of like basically just like come here and just hug him.
Help with the stress
And then
migraine.
just sort of mutter quietly and just sort of, you are okay.
Aw.
Like,
Giles,
This
you
island?
Just breathe.
was that Elena?
Go on.
Yeah, and I'd like to use Heart of Gold to spend a bond and to give Giles an automatic 10+ on standing their ground.
Wow. How often can you use that ability?
I just have to spend a bond.
Awesome.
So
Lavinia reminds me of in Mulan, there's like the 3 dudes that are friends with Mulan, like the big dude that is like always calms the little angry man and is like, it's okay.
so like,
Everything's
like
fine.
sleeping.
Giles, in Lavinia's arms, you feel the hot heat of the sun beating down around you. It feels kind of like being in an oven as your head is enveloped by the large kind of corpular presence of Lavinia, just like she's all like body and arm and cloth, and it's just like a tiny little cocoon for your head. The scent of overripe bananas is caught in here too, and you just feel like you're just baking in a warm banana foster.
That's fantastic. I need to find a big lady to do that to me in real life when I get migraines. This is gonna work.
I feel that.
But with your automatic 10 from Lavinia's move, let's see, on a hit, you've escaped your vices. So yeah, you just are able to overcome this migraine. The pulsing in your head diminishes, and you remember that although your maps were not summoned so quickly or beautifully, yours are very accurate. They are so accurate, and they have done the ethnographic research that you can prove that all of these points exist. You're just kind of like self-soothing within this warm.
I think
Affirmations. That's all I'm doing.
I think is also sort of muttering like, it's okay. They're not real.
Again, it's a picture book illustration.
It's very much an illusory picture.
I feel like Giles is just gonna reach out and just like swipe through it to like show how it like dissipates and comes back. It's like, mine are real. I can touch mine.
While this map debacle is happening, Jolene, you find yourself face to face with some kind of shaggy beast. The red eyes are peering through the darkness, and where you think you should see like fur, where a normal dog or shaggy creature would have fur, you see the white bone kind of glowing underneath, kind of patching through the fur. What do you do?
I'll definitely try to like just jump away, because I know that can turn badly at any moment. So she'll just like whoop, just jump and like stand up as quickly as possible.
As you jump away, the growling recedes. The scent from like emanating from its mouth, its jaws, was like the smell of old meat and kind of like rancid meat, and that smell fades away as well as you stand up and straighten up. And as you do so, the clanging of the bell in the distance, you still hear it, and the sounds of panic are getting more prominent. So whereas people before were murmuring and just being like, oh, something's going on, what's going on? Now you're seeing people begin to hurriedly pack up their stands. Fruit is falling onto the ground and being smashed underfoot as people are just trying to clear out. And you hear the yells of, it's coming straight for us! Run! Run! Everyone run! What do you guys do?
Julian will be like, oh, we actually have to go. Let's go. There's nothing here. Let's go.
Gus says,
Did
what
I-
do you mean nothing? Hey!
Can I look
Bye.
at the sea? Like, can I sort of tell which direction everyone's running? And I sort of look in like the opposite direction of that and see if I can see what everyone's running from. Like, is it a giant sea monster or is it a tsunami? Because like those are very different threats.
As you look out to the horizon, you see a large crest of water, two walls of water splitting from a central point, making quick berth for the shoreline. It's like almost like a V shape, and the water is just like spraying out of a central point. And in the center is a very dark shape, moving quickly towards the shore.
Okay. It's not a natural disaster, which is good.
Is it good?
Well,
So Keith claps his hand and the map disappears. We should go.
I agree.
Gus, with a quick motion, is like swooping bananas and boxes and things into a large apron that he's holding out in front of him. And he's like snapping at things under the counter, and he's like, hey, get to work, pack up, and he snaps in the direction of the wolfish visage that you saw, Jolene. And you see kind of coming out from underneath the counter the skeletal form of like a wolf that's like has bones sticking through its fur, and it kind of like cracks up on the back of its haunches, and it also begins gathering bananas in its mouth. Hurry up, Gus says to it.
Has he like transformed all of his crewmates into like animal lackeys? Because yikes.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sort of kind of let go of Giles and sort of gather everyone else up and just sort of push them to start going.
Where do you guys head?
Away.
We probably follow the crowd.
Yeah. Maybe if
And-
we can like find like a vantage point, like maybe there's a I don't know, a church tower place where we can look out onto the sea.
Where
Yeah.
is Frank parked? Because I'm
Uh,
concerned for him.
Great question. Frank, your ship, is parked.
Parked.
I would.
I don't know. Docked? Is that the
Docked.
word?
Yes.
We're very pirate lingo light on this. Frank is docked very near to the market entrance, this open air market. So while it's not in the direct path of this projectile kind of streaming through the water, you can assess that the wake and the disruption, if this thing were to actually hit shore at the velocity that's traveling, it would definitely cause disruption to all of the ships in the dock currently. Kind of like a ripple effect or just general damage from knocking into other ships. As far as a vantage point, who's going with Zakif to get higher ground?
To get what?
Higher ground, and to be able to see from high
Oh.
above.
Can't you just float? Just
Me?
I don't know how that works. Can you just float upwards?
Does
Yeah,
it have to
I
rely on the fact that, like, I don't know.
Are you
you're-
bound by gravity?
Yeah, are you bound by gravity, the laws of physics?
How far away can you go from
I
your
don't-
book?
50 feet, but it says I can fly. So
Fly with book.
with the book. Yeah, I guess.
Or do like
You
does
can
one of us
get a
hold the
vantage
book
point.
and you like fly up like a kite person and give us an overview and float back down? Like whatever is more convenient.
That's up to you, Zakif. If you
One
want
holds
to.
the book and runs away with it, and Zakif is just like flying.
Zakif does have trust issues. If you were to run away with the book.
If we have more rank with each other, then maybe we can do the kite thing. Yeah.
That's what we do on our days off. You know, just fly Zakif as a kite, have a picnic.
Zakif, do you feel like you're able to hold your own book, or do you prefer the kite method?
I think I want to hold my own book. Yes.
So, do you fly up for your vantage point?
Yeah, if nobody else wants to seek a vantage point with me, I'll fly up
You're
myself.
gonna carry us.
All of us would need to actually look for one and find one. You can just go.
Yeah.
All right, so as Zakif rises up through the chaos of fruit being smashed underfoot, kind of carts being overturned, people trying to nudge animals forward that are stubbornly digging their heels in, Zakif, you rise up above all of this, holding your book, clutching it to your chest. From your bird's eye view, you can see the island laid out before you. You can see this large central rock in the middle that had that tavern kind of hovel carved into it. You see a switchback trail going up the side of the mountain to the top. You see dense jungle on the other side of this island, full of lots of palms and coconuts that you can see dotting from up here. And out on the water, you see this huge wall of water shooting right and left, and a central figure. It first appears to be the shape of a ship, but then you see that it has kind of tentacles writhing underneath the water, dark shapes moving to and fro, and the top of it seems to be just the tipping point of what it seems to be a larger creature underneath the water.
Do I know, or do we? No, we don't. We don't know anything about these Old Wardens other than what we have established. It's dangerous sea creatures that exist, right? That's all
Oh,
we know.
the faction?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two factions. You're asking about the Old Wardens.
Mm-hmm.
So the Old Wardens, they're from the South Sea, part of it where no one goes. Sailors sail around it, navigators don't speak of it. Cartographers strike it from maps with black ink. So Giles, you would have had to remove it from some of your own maps before selling them. People don't like to even see the South Sea on maps because it's so unspeakable. There are lots of eldritch monsters that live here, and no one really knows when they were first called the Wardens or by whom. But people say that they're guarding something down there. Do they keep the creatures in? Do they summon them? People are unsure about what the Warden's role is in the South Sea. But they are a well-known faction.
Giles. No, Ziki flies back down to Giles, and it's like, something's coming. I don't think the ship is safe. It's like a big octopus or something. I don't know.
How big? I mean, is it bigger than our ship?
Yes.
By how much?
I don't know. Ask our navigator. I'm not good at like triangulation stuff.
Um,
Man.
Giles is immediately concerned for Frank and just wants to like drive him away from this chaos.
Drive him away.
Giles, hear him? I'm sorry.
I love it.
He's a clown.
Sail away.
Sail away.
Ride him.
I'm so sorry, friends. I am bad with ship nomenclature.
No, I'm loving this because whenever you say it, I don't have to say it because I would have said the same thing.
Zakif, if we all get on Frank now and leave, would we be able to escape the size, scope, magnitude of unknown tentacle destruction?
I mean, you know that I'm not the best ship person amongst us. I don't really do that stuff, but I think
Who
like can we
steers?
surf the wave? Like the monster we can avoid. The wave not so much, I think.
Who steers
Oh, there's
like
a
of
wave?
our crew? Like who's the person that
Yeah.
steers the ship? Because I have no idea.
So you do have lackeys on your ship. So you have
Oh,
people
okay.
who are slightly more
Unknown
practical
entity.
builds than you are. And you have instructed them, I would imagine, to stay on the ship unless you gave them free reign to come ashore with you.
Are they kind of cute?
Some of them are kind of cute, yes.
That's great.
Oh god.
Yep.
Jolene is like, listen, if I don't
Cute.
like looking at it, I don't want it. Like I don't
Exactly. It has to be nice beards. That's it.
You know,
beard.
ever since Jolene joined the crew, the lackeys have very much like gotten less gross. Like they were pretty gross when you first hired them.
There are only 2 requirements to join the crew. You have to be good looking, and Frank has to like you. Those are the
Like
2.
you have to go up and
those are
like
the
touch
2
Frank,
requirements.
and if he like rocks against you and you fall into the water, it's like, nah, I'm sorry, you're out, my guy. I know your beard is magnificent, but I'm so sorry.
So on that note, Giles, how do you communicate with the ship? Do you have to touch the ship, or do you have like a radius that you can communicate with it?
I'm assuming I have to touch him. This sounds terrible. I'm assuming I have to be in contact with a part of Frank in order to communicate with him.
So in this moment, as you're thinking about Frank and the crew, you see the crew is kind of making preparations to leave in a hurry if needed. So they are kind of putting the sails down. You see people running around with the ropes in hand. These are characters that you can get to know in close proximity, but from a distance, they look just like busy bees, kind of running all over the ship, tiny little blips that are just doing things. And in comparison, you feel like you're moving in slow motion. People are running around you. Like there's like women shrieking, picking up chickens, loose chickens, and like holding them to their breasts and like running like, oh, it's coming. And there's like children that are like, oh my gosh, a monster, and like pointing and like throwing rocks and stuff into the sea. Like there's just a whirl of action by you.
No.
And the 4 of you are standing, I guess Zakif is floating, but you feel like this is the calm before the storm. I would say everyone has one, I guess, action to do before this incoming creature comes ashore. What do you do? Crew of the Frank.
Frank.
Crew of the Frank.
It's a very honest ship.
Let's start with Lavinia. Lavinia, you feel Giles' headache has abated and you've since released him, and all of this motion is around you. Your instinct to protect Jolene is kicking in, and you feel like if you were to stay here, Jolene might be in some danger.
Yeah, I think getting on the ship and sailing away is probably our best bet. So my Lavinia's intent is to basically once again sort of like gather everyone up and push them towards the ship. And if they don't seem like they're going that way, to pick them up and carry them to the ship.
All right. So you have that
And
intention.
sort of say aloud, we should leave on the ship.
Jolene, you see this chaos, this calm before the storm, and the wall of water that's being sprayed up from the dark shape that Zakif described that's heading straight towards the island. You feel a pull towards the open sea, but you also feel a little bit of an itch to see what comes of this. What do you do?
So she feels a pull like from the sea.
Yeah, you feel, I mean,
Okay.
for you, the crew is ready. They're kind of ready to sail, but at the same time, There's adventure here. There's a little bit of chaos, a little bit of danger, and that intrigues you as well. What do you think Jolene
Yeah,
would pay
so-
attention to?
I think she would pay attention to the water, just like going inland and just like destroying all the little like stands and like the people in chaos, just like panicking and running around everywhere. So she would probably just like really like take that in and be like, whoa, distraction. That's force of nature. But I think she's running with everyone, and she'll probably get tired at some point, and if we're still running, she'll just like run towards Lavinia, and you know how people like can jump on like horses that are like running. She'll do that, and she'll like jump
Jump
onto
into
the
a
shoulders of
piggyback
Lavinia, and just like jump on.
Oh
on
my
the back.
god.
So Lavinia, your aim is to gather people up and to like move them with you, and out of the chaos and the air flies Jolene, kind of latching onto your back in a well-practiced move.
Yeah. Lavinia also intent as just sort of going is also if there is chaos, she will physically make a path through the chaos for everyone
Yes,
to get to the ship.
you are barreling through, and the same women who are holding the chickens are like, ah! As they see you coming, and they dive out of the way, and the chickens take flight, flapping into the air. Zakif, what do you do as you have been able to fly up and assess the incoming threat, but you have on good authority that on this island is someone who can solve all of your problems related to your entrapment with this book. And this is the closest you have come in a very long time to a lead. What do you do?
I do have this move investigate, and it says when you investigate a scene in detail. I'm not sure if that would apply here or if it's too hasty.
What happens?
I would say both.
What a cliffhanger.
Yeah, with me flying or having flown up and get a grasp of the situation as a whole, and now I'm probably like trailing behind everybody and just scanning left and right. I want to look for this person, however I am supposed to spot them. And I want to see if there's anything we could do against the sea monster or heighten our chances of survival.
Awesome.
Basically.
Which one is that called?
Investigate, roll plus vinegar.
Nice. Okay, cool. I see it here on your sheet. Yes, I think definitely. Go ahead and do your investigate roll. This is one of your personal playbook moves, right?
Yep.
Awesome. I love those. Yes.
It's a 5. Oh,
No, oh my gosh, has this...
My stats are really bad.
This spot. No, good. You guys have failed
Can
every
we kick
roll.
it out and bring it back in just so it like gets a timeout?
I'm gonna have a stern
And
talking with
reassesses
it.
its priorities.
Okay, so on a miss, you can ask one, but I only give you a yes or no answer to your question instead of a nice, chunky, detailed answer.
That's not very helpful, but I'm going to pick. I'm looking for person from the Poseidon Institute. Is it here and where? So I guess it's just, is it here? I guess.
Well, you could also like pick a place on the island because you had the bird's eye view, so you could pick a place and say, "Is it there?" Like specifically, and then I'd have to answer yes or no.
Okay. Give me a quick rundown again. What was it? There was the tavern in the mountain, the jungle,
the market, the
is
switchback trail, dense jungle, and this open air market.
Yeah, I'm looking for this person. Is it in the market? I would hope so.
The
Or they.
the person you seek? No.
Them. Okay. I fly behind everybody else to the boat, and I say, maybe we can like sail around the island, like across the like right next to the shore, and like anchor on the backside again.
Zakif, with your intense attention to detail and investigation, you scanned everyone in the market in the chaos. Like it's the slow motion, like zoom in on faces and people, and you're like, not here. There's no one here that looks remotely like anything other than a dirty market fruit person. Like everyone's just covered in fruit and trying to gather money. Like there's no one here that meets the mark's description. So yes, you're able to understand that without a doubt they are somewhere on the island, but they are not at the market. As Zakif approaches you and tries to bargain for a pass around, Giles, in this moment that Zakif is kind of scanning through everyone, you see the wall of water approaching, and you all begin to hear a low kind of growling rumble from underneath the waves, like almost like a seismic event, kind of both sound and feeling as the vibration rumbles through you, through your feet, through your chest, and like even makes some of the little hairs on your head stand up a bit with its reverberation. You feel a little afraid, not being well versed in monster hunting as a cartographer. But similar to Zakif, you know that someone from the prestigious university, the Poseidon's Institute, where you hope to gain clout and renowned, they are here. And that's an opportunity that is very hard to pass up, even in the face of mortal peril. What do you do as Zakif is scanning the crowd?
Giles being Giles, despite being terrified, he's concerned that that person, considering he has no idea what they look like, is going to see him. So he's going to, in the face of terror, pretend that he is like on top of it, that he's gonna take out like his, I don't know what it's called, like it's like a little like telescope thing that like a little telescope thing.
Yes, that's the
like,
technical term.
Spyglass.
Yeah, spyglass.
And try to like observe from a distance and do some, like, he's terrified. He's like, if you look at his legs, they're shaking. He has no idea like what he's trying to accomplish, other than trying to maybe spout a direction that seems like a good idea, or like something. He's posturing, truly. So he's just gonna spyglass the monster and try to say, well, if the waves are going in this direction, if we all relocate southeast 30 degrees from the horizontal, then we'll be safe. He doesn't know. He's just trying his best.
So are you just bullshitting?
I don't know. Is there a way to... I don't know the... I'm bullshitting as the player because I have no idea how directions work.
But as Giles, you're calling upon this knowledge of like a safe harbor.
Yes.
Giles is not bullshitting.
Yes, my hope
Okay.
is Giles is not bullshitting.
Okay.
I was thinking, like, my special is Master Cartographer, that whenever I've entered a new land, I can roll vinegar, and if that's a success, then I've created a map of this area before, and it's in my kit, and I know how to navigate. So I would like to try that in hopes that I know where the heck I'm going.
I love this. Yes, I would like to give you an innate knowledge of everywhere you go, but I think a roll is much better for this. So yes, go ahead and roll your Master Cartographer ability plus vinegar.
My vinegar that doesn't exist.
Let's see if the bot is kind.
I don't know. Please, bot. For Giles. Okay, partial success. 7.
All right.
Thank you.
That's the first
bot.
success of the game, I think.
Thank you, bot. I appreciate you.
So on a success, you've created a map of the area before, and it's in your kit.
Yes.
Roll 1 plus D. What was that? Is that double?
Plus
I forget.
1D to navigate. I'm not sure.
I remember where that is in the rules. 1 second. So that means If you receive 1 plus D to something, that means you add 1 extra die to your roll. So you'd roll 3d6, and you'd use. Oh no, you'd roll 2 sets. So you'd use the 2 highest dice totals. Oh no, okay, yeah, roll 3d6 and then kick out the lowest one. Is what that means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, 10.
All right.
It was 4, 4, 6, so it'll be a 10.
All right.
I know where I'm going.
You do know where you're going. Giles is not bullshitting. So yes, what direction do you point, Giles? For safety?
I don't know what direction is the sea monster thing in? Like, what is that directionally? North, south, east?
Yeah,
west?
I would say it's probably coming from the west because as the sun is now setting, that hot sun, you're all beginning to feel some relief as it shifts in the sky and sinks below the horizon. You see it backlit. So there's like this big glowing orb of the sun sinking below the waves, and you see the dark shape of this creature right in front of it, just hurtling towards you.
Okay. Giles is gonna call absolute, I guess, southeast.
Okay.
So, not southeast from where he is, because that's complicated for me to picture. But in the absolute sense of the map, southeast.
Awesome. So as Zakif and Giles, do you go with... The whole crew is kind of like gone with Lavinia's directive and moved towards the ship, even though Zakif is still trying to bargain for maybe a passer app. But do you go with them as you make these calculations, or do you go somewhere else?
As much as I would want to go somewhere else, I'm too concerned about Frank.
Understood. So the crew finds themselves, or yourselves, near the ship, and Zakif is kind of longingly suggesting that perhaps you guys can like just get out of harm's way and move around the island and regroup. You hear Giles having the tone of voice that he usually gets when he has successfully mapped an area out and is like, let me just consult my map, kind of a vibe, pointing out the southwest as safe harbor. As Lavinia and Jolene, you are hearing these protestations as you approach the ship. You see some of your crew hanging from the rigging. Jolene and Lavinia, you see a swarthy young man, kind of like very buff, very like conventionally good looking, kind of like long hair that's like blowing in the wind, swoop down on a rope and just kind of like the cover of a romance novel, just like with both feet planted on the side of the ship, hanging there. And he's like, avast! We're ready to make port. No, that's the wrong thing. we're you landlubbers. This list is useless to me. We're ready to sail.
I was about to yell something as we got close to it.
Please do.
So as we get approach the ship, I will yell, having heard Giles say like to head southeast. I'll yell just as loud as I can, basically, very directly at the crew. Weigh anchor and make for a southeast heading.
Aye, what you said, ma'am. He begins to climb up the rigging and he gives you, like, everyone, just like a broad wink, like, just as Jolene has instructed for like the aesthetics of the crew, like make sure his hair is like flipped back and like gives everyone a wink.
Jolene's about to promote this guy. Like, I don't know what are like jobs in the ship, but he's gonna be like, I don't know, like first mate or whatever that is. Like, he's gonna get a promotion for this.
And on that note, as this crewmate begins to prepare the ship to set sail, and you have a few destinations and goals in mind with where you're heading. There's a huge crashing noise as the land is struck by a high velocity creature that came ashore. The sand is now spraying up instead of water, as just like the underbelly of the ocean is being thrown up into the air, and the sky goes dark as the sun sets, and all of this sand blots out the setting sun as people are screaming as a large creature makes shore with big tentacles flopping down, just like a fish at the fishmonger's counter, just kind of with a wet slap as it hits into the sand. 4 different tentacles hitting into the beach, and 4 more kind of waving in the background as your aesthetically pleasing crew is beginning to make ready the ship. You all will have a choice on where you're going and what you're doing. And also, when we come back, we will do a little crew creation, as I would love your input on these NPCs. But we're going to take a quick bio break, and we'll be back at it in just a minute. So don't go anywhere. Hello again, Internet. We're here with Rapscallion, a tabletop role-playing game, 2d6 system from Magpie Games. We're having a good time with it. We are jumping right back into the action here. As our crew has just, or our crew here has met with the rest of their crew, we need to create them briefly and their skills, because although our players' skills are important, they have nothing to do with like seafaring or gunnery or ships. But that's what we love about them. And then also a monster of some kind has just come ashore. Tentacles hitting into the water, into the sand, blotting out the sun. People are screaming. There's absolute chaos here on Coconut Island as the four of you have been reunited with your ship and crew. One very dashing young man has scaled the side of the ship, listening to Lavinia's instructions, making ready to set sail. I would like you each to create an NPC so that we can populate this ship with people that are somewhat interesting or connected to things that you care about. So I will pull up the lackey's instructions here as we take just a brief pause in the action to make our crew. So let me find the thing that I had. Here we go. So common lackeys are a first mate, a pistolier, a sailor, a powder monkey who does the cannons, a healer or a doctor, a bosun, and a gambler is on this list as well, because every ship needs a gambler, I guess. Any of those stick out to you, or if you just want to make a generic NPC, I'd like everyone to go around and just let me know who's one person that your character spots on the deck, and who is this person that they see.
What is a bosun?
It's the age-old question, isn't it?
I learned so many new words from Rapscallion. I've had to Google so many terms.
It looks like boatswain. It's a petty officer or a deck boss, according to Google. Responsible for components of a ship's hull. Masts, yards, rigging, basically all the things that make a ship go.
They're the closest thing that a ship has to a supervisor.
Yeah. But yes, who do you see on deck? It's been established that everyone is conventionally good looking on this ship per Jolene's orders.
Yes.
But who's here? Who'd like to kick us off?
So I'm thinking the rifleman.
Mm-hmm. The pistolier.
The pistolier.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that can be a someone that doesn't speak our common language.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking somebody named like maybe Ryu.
Mm-hmm.
Someone named Ryu. Let me just write it down real quick. So Ryu came from somewhere where we don't speak the same language, but like he understands enough to do the work that we need him to do. But he can't really communicate a lot to us. But we still understand everything that he's trying to say, and he's very effective, and he's really good in combat.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Very cool. What does Ryu look like?
He has also olive skin, short hair, no facial hair in his case, but he looks very like strong as well. And what else? Maybe just a tiny bit of like a beard like here. He's like
We didn't just create Jolene's love interest or anything, right?
no, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, no. And he always smells good.
Awesome.
Smells good.
All right, Ryu the pistolier. Who's next? Who else do we see on the ship?
There you go. I I like the healer. So their name is Dakota Swab Townsend. Swab being their like piratey nickname thing. Pronouns they them. They have like sort of like cropped ginger hair that's like very like frantically like messed up. And just like bright eyes, very springly as a person. I would say short, medium. I'm 5'2", so like everyone is taller than me. I'm gonna say like 5'6" is medium-ish. And just always like very like positive and lively, and rarely gets mad. Very much the like calm and even presence like on the ship. And yep, that's I feel like some people would just call them swab as like they're like, for them it's a doctor term or a healer term. For like everyone else, they're like they should really be swabbing the deck, not us. But like that's fine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Who else do we see on the ship?
I want to bring into play a swordsman by the name of James Delacroix, which I totally did not just look up as musketeer names. I haven't seen the Three Musketeers movie, any of them, but I imagine them to be kind of arrogant, and that's what James is as well. He thinks very highly of himself. And Zakif is not brave. Zakif is not great in any sort of combat, be it close or ranged. And he looks up to James a little bit in that regard, wants him to train him a little bit.
Awesome. What does James look like?
He has like these. What's the name? I mean, he has this twirly mustache thingy going on, and like long wavy hair, dark brownish, almost black.
Awesome. Perfect. And our last crewmate?
So the last crewmate is... Oh god, I need to come up with a name. Shit. Start.
We can help as a group too.
Mary, no last name, just Mary.
Mm-hmm.
The bosun.
Mm-hmm.
And she is... she's a bit petite, like it's kind of shocking to see her on like the ship surrounded by all these like tall swarthy people, and she bosses them all around with zero problem.
Nice.
So she's quite petite but has a very large presence. And in terms of looks, I think she has a bit darker skin, very freckled, and just short, dark, curly hair.
Awesome. Perfect. And then the one I created will be Rolf. He's the conventionally good-looking guy that swooped down and tossed his hair. And he will be the first mate. And he often helps Mary accomplish what Mary needs done on deck. And he was a hot mess when you had him join the crew, and now he's just like cover of the romance novel guy.
Did you repeat his name one more time?
Rolf. R-O-L-F.
Would you be able to post them, or like everyone who made theirs? Could we put it in chat? Just so I will not remember names. I know me.
And I'll make handouts for next time too. But crew, you run up to the ship, you see some of these familiar faces, like essentially like waiting for orders, as Mary, the petite figure of Mary, is kind of with her arms crossed. She's got like loose fitting clothes, like a tunic, and lots of like bandoliers, and like she's got like a dagger shoved into a belt loop. And she's got like a hat tipped at like a rakish angle with a mess of curls coming from underneath. As she's hanging onto one of the ropes in the rigging, and she calls down to you and she's like, "Where are we headed?" To your crew, the 4 of you, who have, I think, are at the base of the ship. In the background, you hear that reverberation as 4 giant eldritch tentacles hit into the beachhead behind you.
We're going as far away from that stuff as we can, like
I'm just
there's
gonna
no way we
point
can take that.
wherever is southeast, where I had determined before. I'm just gonna be like that.
Aye, that checks. Board and let's go. And as she says that, a large wave begins to swell from the impact of the tentacles as they all hit into the water. And it begins to rock all of the ships next to your ship. And there's rough waters here in the port as all of the ships begin bobbing up and down, and some of them begin creaking and groaning and kind of drifting into the other docked ships. One of the masts next to you crashes into a ship that's parked nearby. And it begins to splinter wood, and you hear just like a bunch of chaos happening. I assume you all scramble aboard unless anyone had anything else to do in the chaos here.
We can come back later.
All right. So as you all board the ship, I'm pulling up your ship thing. So your ship rules, you have 2 ship actions rather. You can man the cannons or steer the ship. And let me just double check on something here. I will also remind you now, because we're all acclimating to rules too, that rank has been a thing that you've used to buff rolls. You all have special moves in your personal playbooks. You also all have the move Twist Fate, which is a really interesting mechanic where if things are kind of going not great, you can spend your luck points to kind of get answers to things. So I just wanted to highlight that as well as something we haven't really touched on yet. But as you all scramble up onto the ship and you assume the positions that you typically do on the top of the ship or perhaps below deck, you encounter James Delacroix, and he has his sword at his hip, and he's kind of looking out at this beast, and he's like kind of holding on because the ship is rocking and rolling underneath the waves. And he looks to you all and says, "Are we not going to attack?"
Do we have the cannons for that?
"Of course we have the cannons, and we have steel." And he puts his hand on his sword hilt again.
Can we attack as we move away from it? But wait, wouldn't that make the thing go towards us?
Bring it to my blade." And you hear Mary say, "You are going to kill us. You're going to absolutely kill us. Get to your post."
Frank says that this is not the vibe.
Do you wish?
I think with this happening, just to sort of underline this, Lavinia just goes and stands directly behind Mary and just sort of crosses her arms and just stares at James.
I feel like a lot of Mary's clout happens because Lavinia is behind her, but she never realizes it. Like, Lavinia is really good at moving with Mary, so like Mary turns and she's just like yelling at someone, and Lavinia's just like there, like
looking menacing.
Yes. Do you wish to speak to the ship, Giles?
Yes. How do I do that?
So I think it is something that comes with your playbook. Let's review that.
It just says like sometimes you talk to this ship, and that's it. Like there's not like I don't think there's a role or anything. That I can do.
That's absolutely one of your features. So yes, sometimes you do talk to the ship.
Sometimes I just talk to the ship. Like
we've
I'm just
established you have
casually
to, yeah,
just
like touch it.
Frank says this is not the vibe. I really no. Mm-mm.
So as you make contact with the ship, with Frank, who has revealed his true name to you, and you can't get anyone to really buy into that, but Frank has told you as much. You feel the wood underneath your arm as you lean on the railing, which, you know, it's kind of like rocking and rolling underneath all of the waves. You feel kind of like the splintery wood in your arm. And then the connection point goes from being physical to being metaphysical. As you and Frank, your consciousness is kind of taken up and out of your body, and you are now in like this dark, starlit kind of astral plane of you, Giles, the cartographer, just kind of floating in this endless sea of space and time with this glowing light that you know to represent the soul of the ship. And it's just kind of pulsing in front of you as Frank says, "Hello, Giles."
I love it. It's like, hi, friend. How are you doing? I know that I don't think that we can fight the monster, but I don't want to tell you how you feel. So you tell me how you feel.
We'll go where my crew needs me. My cannons are packed, but I'm also speedy.
Well,
This is
I
how
want you in
ships
one
talk.
piece. I love it. It reminds me of like Finding Nemo when Dory's like, "Can you speak whale?" I want you to survive this. So my concern is, I have no doubt to your ability and your cannons, but I also am afraid that it's so much bigger than you are. And I don't want you to get hurt again. There's only so much wood we can find to patch you back together.
I do have many different colors now, and many different wood species that
And
make
you are
my
beautiful,
home.
just the way you are.
Thank you, Giles. I do feel a rumbling underneath me. I think there might be another one of these things coming
Wait.
from the other way.
Define other way. In the southeast way?
In the east, but
Oh,
the
no.
absolute east, because otherwise it's confusing.
Okay. So what do you suggest? Do we do north or south? Somewhere in between? Are we gonna get caught in between them?
You're the cartographer, Giles. I have faith in you, but I will take you where you need to go. As this conversation is happening in like the space-time continuum of Giles's mind and communion with the ship, all of you just kind of see Giles like spacing out utterly, like eyes wide behind the glasses, as like a sea monster with tentacles is like rising up from the water behind Giles, and Giles is just like chilling with the ship, just leaning on the balcony.
Living my best life with the ship.
I think as whatever is happening, I think Lavinia just sort of grabs Giles and just like sits him in a corner.
Like,
just
let-
like out
just-
of the way.
You like tie rope around me so I don't like fling
Just like,
overboard.
just
to
tie
anchor
Giles
me
to
down.
the mast a little.
This is not the first time.
There's a specific spot that we use that is the designated. All right, Giles is doing a thing again.
We'll pause that conversation and we'll cut over to Mary and James, who are having a bit of an argument as Lavinia is kind of like crossing her arms behind Mary. James is turning to you, Jolene, and says, "You know my blade is true. I will fight wherever you need me, but just say the word and I will strike it down for you, Jolene."
I
I
mean,
get that Brannigan vibes.
it's
A little bit,
lot.
little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot to take on, and besides, how many cannonballs do we have? Like, I think it's best that we live to fight another day. Besides, we can eat octopus in any other city, so we don't need to kill this one right now.
You see Mary raise her finger in the air and she's like, "You heard her! Let's go! Let's turn this thing out!" I need you guys to figure out who's rolling for the ship as you steer the ship out of here. It's quite dangerous, so a fail might mean you hit one of these obstacles that are now in your path.
How does one roll for the ship?
You add your rank with the ship. Giles, I think you have the most rank, but you are currently communing with the ship.
I am communing with him. Him. Her, them. I need to ask the ship its pronouns.
Who's steering?
I can. I guess. I don't think I've rolled yet, though.
Well, you're also like the strongest one of us. If anyone is gonna like be fighting waves, you're gonna probably be the best bet.
Alright. Please.
Come on.
Okay, I think I have one luck.
What did you get?
6.
Oh my god.
I have a luck.
Uh-huh.
Bot hates us.
And I would like to spend it to make that a 10 plus.
You can indeed. Go ahead and mark off your luck.
Yep.
So as you steer the ship, in a difficult maneuver, you roll plus your rank. On a hit, you steer true. So as one backs the ship out of port, there's all of these waves rocking your ship. There's kind of masts from other ships that are creating an obstacle course. Like if you were running a race, essentially these would be the hurdles that you'd need to jump or steer around. And you see Lavinia at the helm kind of dexterously moving the heavy wheel as Mary is like climbing up in the rigging and just yelling at everyone, like, pull that sail down, do this, like kind of communicating with you, Lavinia, to see what's needed, as everyone else is running around taking care of this. And you are able to successfully move out of the way of all of this obstacle that the other ships presented. You see the monster coming ashore. It's dragging its belly up onto the sandy beach, and you see tentacles just kind of just whapping out and just destroying things. So trees are uprooted. These stands are just basically turned into pulp as it's kind of crawling forward. Its face has kind of 4 sets of eyes that start very high up on the hairline of the creature and then move towards the mouth. And the mouth is kind of underneath it, almost like dragging along the sand. And it has all of these rows of sharp teeth, but the mouth extends very far back. So if it were ever to open it widely, pretty much half the creature's head would like split in half with how deep and wide this mouth is. And it's just beginning to slowly crawl forward. From the to the left of your ship, so you see the horizon in front of you due south, you see another wave coming, the same kind of dorsal fin of water spreading forward as what the ship sensed is coming to pass. There seems to be a pair. This creature is joined by perhaps another, heading towards the island from the other direction. What do you all do?
Question, is the second one is now swimming where we want to go, correct?
If you were to head, it's east and you were going to head southeast. So if you were to go that way, you would like be near it, but not heading directly towards it.
Once we get out of port, I will be taking us due south.
All right. Zakif, as
the other wave coming from the east, just like, nope.
Yeah, as Lavinia says nope, you also hear Mary say, "That's a no, that's a no," to everyone on the ship, and they begin adjusting the sails and rigging to that command, familiar command. Zakif, where are you in the crow's nest typically on the ship, do you think, with your flying ability?
I think right now I'm next to Giles, and I'm trying to shake him out of his trance because there's more important things to do right now.
So let's cut back over to Giles' astral projection conversation as the ship's pulsing light and presence and spirit says, "Giles, I will sail where you steer." Don't make me laugh. I will sail where you steer. You've never steered me wrong, except for those few reefs and the time that we hit that rock.
Do I have access to anything that I own physically?
In this
just-
space, kind of a
'cause I-
representation of it, but not the physical object.
Okay, because I kind of wanted to see the map that I had created of before for this area.
Yeah, yeah, you know that still.
Okay, I would like to see if there's any like lagoon that we can like go inland in that might not necessarily fit big scary tentacle face splitting monster.
How far away do you wish to travel? Do you wish to stay close to the Coconut Island, or do you wish to get far, far away from here?
I would wish to stay close to Coconut Island just because I know that this means more to Zakif than it does to me. And he seems to be the only one that believes me a little bit when I tell him about Frank's stories.
Yeah. As you review the map that you yourself have drawn of this area, you realize that there is a small island with a K, like a little circular enclosed area with lots of jutting rocks. So the downside is it's going to be very hard to steer the ship into that without damaging it. But the upside is you think it would provide really good protection from such a creature.
Okay. Frank. Well, first, Frank, Frank, what are your pronouns? Because I feel like I've been misgendering you.
I appreciate the question. I am he, she, they, them, and everything.
I appreciate the fluidity because that helps.
It helps me too. Riding the waves, free as a bird in the sky.
Okay. So I have a question. If I tell the ship where to go, it cannot physically steer itself there, right?
No. As far as you have...
It just, like, gets the vibe of where I want it to.
From your experiments with this, no one believes that you can do anything with this ship. I mean, you're like, look, Frank can do this, and, like, it's just a ship. Like, the ship has never done anything extraordinary for anyone else but you.
Like, I'm like, look, he's saying something, he, like, rocks, and I'm like, see, and Aren's like...
Yeah.
No.
To everyone else, you just like go into a catatonic state and they just have to babysit you while this happens.
They just think this is my panic response.
Yes.
Okay. Frank, we're gonna go. I know there are a lot of rocks. I know what happened last time with the rocks. Lavinia is great. We're great. We can steer this. But we learned a lesson from the previous rocks. Okay, steer away from the pointy side. And that's a learning curve. It scratches
my belly.
I am so sorry, and I promise that I will scrape barnacles off of you and help treat the wood. I'm so sorry if we scratch you, but this is nice. It's for your own good. It's for your own good.
In the astral plane, you feel your physical shoulder being shaken by Zakif. Who, in all of Zakif's magic and connection to the otherworldly realms, has never believed that this happens to you. But you do feel that shake.
It's the I believe that you believe that's what's happening.
Yeah. Okay, bye Frank, be safe. We're gonna keep you safe. Bye.
I'm always here. As the light kind of flashes and expands and it flares against your eyes, and for a second you feel a migraine coming on, but you clear your head and you open your eyes and you see the blue-bodied floating form of Zakif shaking your shoulders as from your due east over the side of the ship you see another big dorsal wave kind of coming towards you guys from the east.
I'm gonna point at original sea monster number 1. Nope. Second sea monster number 2, these also nope. Then I'm gonna like just go to them and be like, we're gonna go here. I know there's lots of rocks, but we can do it. And that's what I agreed to do with Frank, so I'm not gonna lie to him. This is what we agreed to do. Whether or not anyone believes me is a completely different situation.
It's if you show on a map that like, look, there's a lagoon.
Like there's a lagoon, there's rocks, but there's a lagoon and they're hopefully not gonna be able to fit that way.
If nothing else, we trust your skill with maps.
Fair.
So
If you say so, you're the cartographer.
It's a lot of responsibility. That's fine.
As you guys are having this conversation, Swab pokes their head from below deck, just from like a random trap door that just opens up in the middle of your little conversation circle here and says, "Is anybody bleeding?"
Not yet.
All right, let me know. And just kind of pops back down like Bugs Bunny, recovering the trapdoor.
So
All right. Are you heading?
It takes a second because Lapinia's looking at the map and is like, okay, that's the island. So that's where we are. And we need to go down. Okay. Like you could like see the gears turning in her brain a little bit.
Next to you, Rolf kindly turns the map the other way to orient it in the correct direction as Lavinia is looking at it.
Thank you. And then
Of
I will
course.
say, prepare to change heading. Now do that whatever that gives the correct say which way we're actually going now. So they can like move the sails, reorient the sails and stuff.
All right. So changing from the
oh.
southeasterly direction. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, so like all in the meantime while that was happening, like Jolene was just like trying to chat up with Ryu and being like, so have you seen any of those types of monsters before? And Ryu's like,
Ryu
like,
is looking
well,
out over the ocean as Jolene asks that question.
Yes.
He's got his hair. Actually, Ryu.
I sent you a picture.
Oh,
And
of
he's
course you did.
pretty much-
The idea of like you guys are having this conversation against like the side of the ship, and in the background you just see like a ship being thrown into the air by a tentacle monster, and you're like, "Hey, do you come here often?" Like,
Absolutely the vibe.
Technically,
Absolutely.
She's like yeah, and I'm saying,
So as
Wow,
Jolene
okay.
asks this question, Ryu is Ryu's the pistolier. So I think he is like preparing just kind of mechanically like all of the different weapons on the ship. So you guys have some mounted gunnery on the ship, and so Ryu is preparing those as well. He's working very quickly. So like the way that someone like can unload a weapon, like load up the bullets, spin it around, like just kind of do checks and things. Very like almost like a magic trick kind of handiwork. He's doing that all along as he's nodding and listening to you. And as you say, like, have you seen any of these monsters before? He looks over at the absolute destruction of Coconut Island, like pretty much the entire marketplace. There's like smoke rising in the air. Everything's on fire and just people are screaming. Some of them are running into the water and trying to swim for it. You see people like some of them are like jumping off high heights as one of the tentacles hits into the mountain and like rubble is just flying everywhere. And it's just like this backdrop as the sun is setting across both of your faces. And he turns and looks at you, Jolene, and says, "No, I have never seen such a creature.
no, I think that's too many words for Ryu.
No, I have never,
just no.
I have
Yes,
never
yes.
creature."
Okay, well, we are now
He blinks,
together.
kind of like does a small smile, and then goes back to doing the gunnery, like even quicker than before. Like you can't tell if it's nervousness or just trying to show off or a bit of both. But then he nods and says, "I kill for you."
Ryu, that's great. That's amazing. Yeah, no, you keep doing what you're doing.
Screams in the distance. "Ah!" In between the two of you talking. We cut back over to who is that? Mary, who's saying, "It's a double nope! It's a double nope! We're changing direction." I need someone to steer as the ship begins to turn in the southward direction,
South.
correct? Yes.
Yeah, towards the lagoon. Basically beelining to the lagoon. As soon as we got out of port. I guess I'll roll again.
If you want, I can roll because I have rank 2 with the ship.
Sure. I could be physically steering, but you're sort of telling
I'm
me
gonna
what
like
to do.
be like standing in front of you between the steering and like putting my hands there, so like you know where to go, but like you're the force that actually gets us there.
You're like, now we go this way, and I'm like, okay.
I have 2 rank with the ship. 10.
Hey!
Nice.
I told
nice.
you I would help you, Frank. I will keep you safe.
So you steer true. So what happens now is 2 things happen. One is that your ship, using the wave that's created by the second monster that's heading from the east, it propels your ship forward. And so basically you guys are riding on like a little mini tidal wave that's taking your ship and heading it at high speeds away from this island. The other creature emerges, and it looks very much like the first one, except instead of a dark black color, this one is like a kind of a rusty red color, and it's a bit smaller, but same amount of tentacles, same like big, like almost like a chain chomp mouth that like separates very far back on its head and kind of does like this big wide opening, but you haven't yet seen it open completely as it runs itself also up on shore and smashes into the other side of this mountain. And the mountain is just basically being like pummeled from both sides by the tentacles. You see a few ships begin to leave port as well. So as you guys are being propelled forward by this tidal wave that was created by this creature, you see 2 ships that have also made a break for it. One of them is running to your right, and the other is running to your left. So you have 2 ships that are kind of keeping pace with you, heading southward. And they seem to be adjusting their sails whenever you adjust your sails. They're both kind of copying you, in a sense. So those things are happening. Jolene, in your conversation with Rio, he looks to you and says, "We go to safety. Yes?" Can't tell if Kimberly's frozen or not. Is she frozen for you guys?
I think she's
Not
frozen.
anymore.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, there it is.
Wait, what did Ryu say?
Ryu says, "We go to safety, yes?"
Yes. You can take me anywhere, Ryu.
Ryu
Should we give him Lavinia's
he blushes and says nothing.
ABC book?
Oh yeah, Lavinia does have an ABC
She has
book.
like an ABC children's book, just like he can point at pictures.
It's with all my
if it's
personal
something he
effects.
doesn't know.
Oh wow.
Jolene, in this conversation, as you're talking to Ryu, you notice that he has a locket around his neck. You see the chain and like a little top of the locket, and it's in his shirt, kind of poking out from inside the shirt. You do notice this detail in close proximity to him.
I feel like just really grab it and be like, what is this?
Do you try to be subtle about it, or you're just going for it?
No. She's just like overly saying like
No
like,
concept
what
of
is
personal space.
Yeah,
You
not
see,
at all.
you see Ryu flinch a little bit, like at the forward gesture, as he seems very defensive at people coming at him. But you know, it's you, so he doesn't react in any kind of aggressive way. But you do see that initial reaction of like, defensiveness. As you take the locket out, the blush deepens, and he begins to shake his head and says, "No matter," and like attempts to like hide it again. Do you resist?
Just gonna be like, okay, no. She'll let it be, and she'll be like, okay, you have to tell me more about it. Like is it just yours, or does it belong to someone else?
He looks down at the water and then looks back at the receding destruction of Coconut Island and says, "Maybe talk later. Maybe."
Okay,
Ooh.
just come find me.
He nods.
He's not emotionally available.
Neither am I.
He nods and looks out over the water. And as he's like kind of still working on the pistols and the gunnery that's mounted here, you do notice that occasionally he reaches up and touches where the locket is inside the shirt and then goes back to his work. We will cut over to the ships that are running alongside your ship. So Lavinia is up with Mary, who are giving directions to the crew. Giles and Zakif are kind of mid-deck, and then I'm seeing Jolene and Ryu in the back. We've got Swab below deck, and Rolf is kind of up in the rigging. James is pacing around. He's got his hand on his hilt, and he's like, "I'm ready for anything. Let this monster come. Let the second monster come. I'm ready. Steel's sharp." And he's just kind of looking around at the scenery. The ship to your right, it appears to be kind of like a black flag that's raised with lots of holes in the flag and lots of neon colors. So like someone took like a neon crayon or neon paint and like sprayed it everywhere, and just kind of haphazardly, like there's splashes of bright green, day-glow orange, hot pink, just kind of that's everywhere. And the ship looks a little ratty. And then the ship to the left appears to be very well kept. It's a small, like sloop, kind of two-person ship, very, very small and petite. And Zakif and Giles, you notice that it has a book on the flag, but this one does not have a sword through it. It has a glowing like ring circlet around it, like very holy looking symbol around this book.
They have a baby ship. I see.
They also seem to have books.
Books, yes. Well, I mean, can I see close enough that I can see weapons, or can I take out my spyglass and see if there's like weapons, or do they look particularly menacing?
Yeah, as you take out your spyglass, roll size up. So roll plus vinegar.
All the stats that I have 0 of.
Yeah, I noticed that. We have a lot of vinegar rolls in this game.
2.
Oh my gosh.
Do I just like do this, smack myself into the mask and give myself a black eye? Like what happens here?
No. Giles is much more suave than that even. I think what happens is the spyglass, so the waves are rocky, right? You're kind of riding forward on almost like a tidal wave or like a crest of a wave pushing you guys forward. And these two ships are trying to basically ride in your wake and like follow you. It's very hard to hold the spyglass. You don't have sea legs. You're not that good at like standing and doing things on the ship. So it's hard to focus in on stuff. However, with that failed roll, you're unable to see something through the spyglass, but the setting sun glints off the gold metal of your spyglass and signals to the ship that you're looking at. You're looking at the one with the book?
Yeah, I was looking at the one with the book.
So you see a flash of metal and like just basically a flashlight has shown on that ship. And so they're aware that you're looking at them and they're aware of your position.
No. Just gonna close it up and put it in my bag. Just nothing to see here. I feel like I do one of those like absolute hit the deck things. Like if I hide, they don't see me.
Everyone else, you see Giles take out his spyglass and then immediately like look awkward and then just like lay face down on the ground. What do you do?
I wonder if they're like this tracks for Giles, or if they're actually concerned.
Sigh deeply and continue steering the ship.
This is just what he does.
How far away is the book ship from us?
Riding together in this push of a wave, I would say it's probably like 6 or 7 ship lengths away from you. But it's a smaller ship, so it's really trying to utilize your wake to stay close to you.
Zakif is going to find some sort of crate or whatever at the stern, at the back of our ship, and he's going to drop his book inside and then fly towards the book ship as far as he can. 50 feet is not very far.
Yeah.
In ship length, I think.
Yeah, that's another Google search. How long is a ship?
Jolene like sees Zakif just flying across the sky. She's like, "Where are you going?"
Just gonna check it out.
But we have like a whole tentacle monster here. Like what?
You're flirting.
It's like, oh, okay.
Ryu says, flirting? And he doesn't understand the word.
With what?
Making friends.
That's what you say to him? From the deck?
Am I saying that? I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that very muffled into the woods, so I don't even know if they can hear me. So
Just like saying it into the wood. Making friends. Rio looks between the floating genie and Jolene and like points at Zakif flying and says, flirting? Like to indicate that that's what flying is?
No, floating. You mean floating?
Oh, float, yes. And he nods. He knows this one.
Aw.
Zakif, I have just found from Google that an average pirate ship was 65 feet long and could carry roughly 130 tons of cargo.
Oh boy, it's a lot.
So yeah, you're about, I mean, you can get one ship's distance basically, but it's about 4 more additional ships after that.
Yeah. Okay. And it's a small ship, so I'm not going to see much.
But do you go the 50 feet out to sea?
Yeah, I'll go as far as I can, and then there's like a bungee jumping rope where you go out, and then there's the pull back. I think that's what happens with the book. So I pulled back towards the ship.
Just like a rubber band snapping back?
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and roll size up from your new vantage point?
Sure, another vinegar roll.
Okay, my vinegar's -2, so it's a good thing I'm not making these rolls.
A 9. Amazing.
Nice. So on a
Wow.
9, you get hold 1, so you can ask any of the questions on that list, and I will put them in chat so chat can see as well.
I'm going to pick what sort of treasure are you carrying. I want to know if they have any books, as their flag would indicate.
So as you look at this ship, you're able to see that there isn't much of a hold, and so it's a very small ship, and pretty much there's like maybe a little captain's quarters, but there's windows so you can see inside of it. It couldn't be holding anything underneath cargo-wise like your ship can. So you're pretty confident that whatever you can see is what they have. They don't have gems or chests or anything that looks like something Jolene would be excited about, as has been your experience. But you do see large trunks. You see on the table where there's a map for the coordinates, you see stacks and stacks of books. And these look like old tomes. Very rare. Some of them very dusty, yet unread. Like they're freshly discovered, it seems.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm going to pull myself back towards the ship, and I'm gonna find Giles. No, who's at the steering?
Lavinia.
Mary and Lavinia, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna find those two, and I go, we have to turn around immediately, we have to get to the ship. With the book flag, they have books, they could be important to our current situation. I need them.
No ulterior motive. Just pertains to now.
If they're following us, we can meet them when we get to safe harbor.
Is the lagoon big enough?
Giles, you know
Look
that
to
the
Mary.
entrance is very, very narrow. So while multiple ships could dock in there, it's kind of a queue
Yeah.
to go in. But there are lots of rocks around it, which is part of the reason you chose it.
I mean, technically they can go in, but also we could park at the park dock at the entrance and just
Tinker.
claim the lagoon for ourselves. Or we can just
Ooh.
let in the small ship and tell the big ship to kick rocks.
We could
Um,
charge
payment.
entry to the lagoon.
Charge
Yes,
entry.
let's do
Yes.
that. Let's get
Valet
let's
parking
go there.
fee.
Yes, everyone that refuses us to leave, or they'll get to feel our cannons.
I like
That's
do
what
it.
I'm talking about, James says
Oh,
as he
no.
strides up.
boy.
Who's shooting cannons? I can shoot the cannons. Let me
Oh,
deal with
sir.
this.
Let's go to the lagoon then.
Yes, let's go to the lagoon and shoot cannons.
Someone needs to give him a job, because he is just too
I
much
have a
man.
job. I am the swordsman. And because we don't have a powder monkey, sometimes I dabble in the cannonry.
Can I give him like vegetables to chop or something, just so he's like occupied with his sword and not like, I don't know, peacocking around the deck?
If you'd like to. You created this monster.
We all did.
We all did. Would you like to offer him something else to do?
Yes.
What does Giles say?
I don't know where food is stored on the ship.
Probably in the hold below.
The
Yeah.
hold.
Let me consult my ship drawing. My very complicated ship drawing. It's
Maybe you can make fruit
it's overly
cakes.
complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine in the hold.
Below decks.
I'm gonna try to like appeal to him and be like, your precision cutting skills are unparalleled. And we really, really need your help with our nutritional needs. And only you can really, I mean, I am terrible with a knife. You should not give me anything sharp. I have a cutlass, but I really shouldn't be the one using it. So
Have you like lifted your face off of the deck for all of this, or are you just
I
looking
just
up at
turned
James?
to the side. I haven't gotten up. I just turned to the side so you could hear me better. So I think it would be so great, if you went to the hold and you cut up some of our food, because I mean, how else are we gonna eat it? I don't want to put a whole potato in my mouth. That's not how that works. And we really need to dock and you know, rest and recuperate. So you are key to our survival right now. With our nutrition.
You're laying it on real thick. Roll parlay.
I am.
Plus polish.
I am. Plus polish. Oh my god. It's kind of like I'm trying to fool him to be like, yes, you are important to this situation.
And he's kind of obsessed with like fighting, isn't he?
Oh,
Just a little bit. A 6. Oh my god, what's
I
with
wanna
these
cry.
So,
what is the mechanic that we have for like fixing bad rolls?
dice? So you can always use your bond. However, you haven't had a chance to build up bond, additional bond, that is. Does anyone have anything that can aid? There's also luck. You can use a luck point if you'd like.
I think the only thing I have bond rank with is the ship and Zakiv. Although I'm not
Yes.
sure how I would use the ship's bond.
You have an amount of luck equal to your Spitfire score, if you have a positive in that.
I have 1 Spitfire.
So you have
Then
one
you
luck.
have 1 luck. That refreshes each session.
Sure. I would like to use it.
All right. Describe to me what it looks like as Giles is trying to, you know, address the ego of James, the swordsman. And he doesn't buy it for a second, but how do you use Giles's luck? What does it look like when Giles gets lucky in this instance?
I'm gonna... well, maybe this will work. So Jolene is like across the ship, right? Talking to Ryu.
Yes.
And I'm gonna take advantage of that because he has an ego. You know, Jolene is the prettiest girl on the ship, and she's not even talking to you. Like, you haven't even shown your cutting skills, your swordsman skills, and you don't have the opportunity to, but he's not even saying anything. And she's just impressed. And you have to bring something to the table, like one dude to another. You have to bring something because she is very much distracted with another dude. Don't know if you may not be into her, but I mean, she's probably the prettiest person to be into you.
There's that toxic masculinity that our stream was
Right?
missing.
Honestly, because like he is
Classic.
the epitome of like toxic ego, reckless, arrogant man, and I'm just trying to play him at this point.
I love it. So to down on his luck, literally face down on the ship, Giles taps into James's deep-seated and very skewed worldview and very
It's
fragile
really
ego. And he takes out his sword. It's a like large, like kind of scimitar-looking cutlass where it's like narrower near the hilt, and then it gets like bigger into like a curved blade. It's a little ridiculous. He also seems to have like thinner pointed rapiers. Like, this guy is like packing swords. Like, he just has swords all over his belt, and he pulls out this most like intimidating looking one and like brandishes it at you for a moment, but then like raises it to the sky and says, "You're right, by God, you're right, man. I will make sure that she understands how fine my swordsmanship is, how precise, how, and he like looks at the sword, it's like oversized and like clearly a metaphor, and he's just like, how important I am. And he goes and strides below deck, and Mary is just like, oh, thank God.
I'm just gonna turn to Zakif and be like, he's the fodder for the monster, right? Not me. Like, we can all agree that it's him, right? I'm cool. That's not. We're not down with that, but he is.
What does Zakif say?
Zakif is kind of like, I mean, not you, but maybe somebody else?
So as this conversation is happening, as you've sent your swordsman below deck to chop vegetables in a manly fashion, two things happen. One is the small ship with the book flag, having seen you taking a look at them through the spyglass, and potentially then being alerted to like looking at you, and perhaps even seeing Zakif kind of float out and stretch back. They turn and they begin sailing in the opposite direction. So they peel off from you and begin sailing southwest. So still southernly to escape from all of these creatures in your periphery, but away from you. The other thing that happens is you hear a distant whistling noise that gets louder and louder as a projectile is heading towards you from the other ship, the one that's splattered with neon dayglow paint. And your deck bursts with a large pink dayglow bomb, essentially. Like paint splatters everywhere as it hits onto the deck of your ship and splatters on the sails, splatters on all of you. I don't know, is there like I don't think there's anything dexterous in these basic rules. So if anyone has anything related to dexterity in their personal kit or their personal moves, but I don't think so.
Do you mean just like being able to do things with your hands, or?
Yeah, if you're interested in like getting out of the way, I don't think there's anything in this game that does that, except for maybe Twist Fate is kind of a catch-all for changing your luck. Or perhaps using a dirty trick, maybe. But I think those are two basic moves that could avoid this. Otherwise you're going to get splattered.
She doesn't have anything like. I mean, she's a dancer, but that doesn't mean she's like super agile necessarily.
I'll take it. I think that's relevant.
Okay.
Roll Twist
Cool.
Fate. Roll plus your Spitfire, because Spitfire is your natural kind of like instinct. So this makes a lot of sense to me. So roll plus Spitfire, and let's see if you can twist your fate of getting splattered with this dayglow paint.
Oh, nice. My Spitfire is -1. Nice.
Oh no.
Let's see. Roll 2d6. -1. 5.
Oh my god. This is the cursed game. Unfortunately,
The bot needs to go in timeout.
the bot really does. I might get a
Needs to
different
go
bot.
underneath the deck with James and have a nice long think about its action.
Chopping.
So on a miss, the fates choose an answer to one of those questions, and I'll put the Twist Fate questions in chat. But I do think we should use these more, because you asked like, what's our get out of jail free card? And I think Twisting Fate can also help you if you're in a pinch. So unfortunately, though, you failed, and so I will answer one of the questions, which is the weather, the winds, or the tides change. How do they help? So as the fates, and on a fail, it's not exactly helping you. So you all get splattered with this paint that was shot from the other ship. You're now all kind of covered in various parts of you in paint, except for Zakif. Do you think paint would stick to you, Zakif?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
at least the upper body.
Okay, so you all kind of have these splatters, and it would look like you were all hit and bleeding, except it's bright, bright pink. the wind changes in this moment. So as you try to dance out of the way, Jolene, the paint actually like catches on the wind, and it is going to douse you basically Carrie style from like head to toe. You are like bright pink, like every part of you is now lit up in this pink paint. As this happens, Mary yells, "Oh no, I've heard of these guys. They're no good. They're definitely they like to rob, they like to steal. Basically they do what we do, except they do it not out of necessity, but just for fun. I don't think this is gonna be good. Can we outrun them?"
Oh. We should definitely shoot back.
You think?
Yes, let's load the cannonballs. But what is everyone? Lavinia. Lavinia, what do you think? Okay.
Don't ask me things.
Don't ask me.
So, okay, so I guess from how big is the other ship relative to us?
It's the same size as you guys.
Okay, so it can probably. Okay, so we either have to, if we can. Get to the lagoon, and we don't have room to maneuver. I mean, if we're going to fight them, we should do it on the open sea.
I will say you do see the lagoon ahead of you, so it's within Crow's Nest spotting distance. So it is an option, but also there's plenty of open water around you if you so choose.
No, if we want to engage in a cannon fight, we want to do that in open water, so we have room to.
And they are onto us too.
Yeah. Okay. So, and they're sort of. So if we're here, they're sort of like here.
Yeah,
They're sort
I'd
of
say
behind us to the
they're
side?
more like this. Like they were kind of like running neck and neck with you. They're trying to like catch up in your wake. So you guys are doing a little bit of jockeying for position. The other ship, the tinier ship, has peeled off.
Yeah, it's probably for the best at this point. Okay, so they're to the right of us.
They're to the left. The other ship
left.
was to the right. Because
Okay,
they're heading southwest. Oh boy, it's getting complicated.
I don't know how I've somehow become the captain. This was not the plan.
Mary the bosun just looks at you and shrugs and says, "I'm fine with it."
Alright, okay, so I will look at Mary and say, so they're on our left. Okay. Make ready the port side cannons and aim for the ship.
You heard her. You heard her.
Oh yeah.
What's that? Jolene?
No, I was just happy. Yeah, Jolene was just happy.
As Jolene yells out exuberantly, everyone jumps into position, except for James, who's noticeably absent. And you hear one of the kind of more unnamed crewmates yell, "Oi, James! Where's that guy got up to? He's always talking about action and he's missing when there's action." And everyone just starts like yelling about how much James sucks at his one job.
Love it. Giles is happy that he's enabled this. No one else really knows that he did, but he's just still lying face down, but to the side and just like smiling.
As Mary helps spring into action Lavinia's plan, she scratches her head and like some of the paint comes off. And you begin to see that all of the paint that you guys were splattered with begins to emit a glow, like a magical glow. And Jolene is just lit up glowing as there's kind of like a hazy, kind of almost neon emitting from all of you where the paint hit. And you see over there, the cannons on the other ship are kind of cranking into place. And they're powering up with like this glowing pink and day-glow orange energy kind of stowed into their cannons. And Mary's like,
"Boy, are we marked?"
"Oh, what is the name? The Swallowtails. They say that they have some kind of I don't know, like deal with a demon or some kind of
What?
They're powerful. Oh man, this isn't good. This isn't good. And she begins to like jump into action, and both she and Rolf are beginning to like really step up their orders and like running around. Is there anything that you all would like to do as you see the ship peeling off to the southwest and the other ship, now identified as belonging to the Swallowtails, beginning to charge up glowing energy? And you see in front of you the island K.
I think you've got a little bit tearful as he saw the book ship go away, but there's literally nothing he can do about that. So he tries to rub off the paint or whatever, with no success, I assume. And instead, he pulls out one of his other books, his self-written books, and kind of like a leather-bound thing. And you guys are not sure if it's like usually use cow leather or something. You're not sure what kind of leather this book is. And it's written with a dark red ink. And he goes, I could maybe buy us some time if you want.
Oh, how?
I could maybe try to slow their approach. I don't know if it's not going to make it easier for us to hit them, but I hope they also won't be able to hit us.
Yeah, I mean, can you do something like freeze time or something, or just destroy their cannons?
Maybe I can. Maybe it would hurt their ship. I could try to make like a whirlpool around them.
Yeah,
Suck them in.
or change the wind's direction so that the cannon hits themselves.
Mary laughs and she's like, how many things can you do, Zakith? Jeez, you hold it out on us.
There with his book, and he goes, it's one book, okay? One book can do one thing.
Mary laughs again at Jolene and she's like, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, books should be more useful.
Okay, I'm not going to summon the whirlpool.
No, by all means, summon the whirlpool. No, I'm serious. We're just giving you a hard time. Jolene and I were not big readers.
I don't even know how to read. Well, maybe I do, but I'm not sure.
It's not worth your time, Jolene. But Zakith, please,
Yeah.
summon the whirlpool. Listen, I remembered what I heard about the Swallowtails. They've got this crazy captain, Captain Lucid. They say he never stops smiling, and I don't want to find out why. I don't want to meet that guy. Come on.
Fair. Oh. Okay. Yeah, Zakith is going to start reading from his blood book, which has some sort of magical incantation in
awesome.
a language that nobody understands. Yeah, that conjures an elemental effect, which is the whirlpool in the area of that ship.
That's awesome. What does it look like as the whirlpool is summoned? Like, what kind of, what do you see as a camera on this scene?
I think it's going to look pretty natural. Like, there's not any sort of like a lightning hits the water or something like this. It just looks like the water has decided to make a whirlpool right behind their ship at this very specific moment.
Mary is standing next to Jolene, arms crossed, watches this whirlpool summon out of nowhere, and looks to Jolene and says, all right, I mean, it is a pretty cool book, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it does some things. Just curious to see, is it gonna swallow that ship? Like, I wonder.
So the ship is beginning to, you see the glowing diminish from the cannons as all of the hands on deck go to do similar things to your evasive maneuvers, changing the sails and like trying to kind of counter clockwise on this whirlpool. But it is beginning to catch the nose of the ship.
Oh, and Jolene is just going to get her, she has her own large pistol, so she's just going to get that loaded up. And can she see anyone on the other ship that she may be able to shoot at, like, within distance?
Yes. So as you look to the other ship, you see people running around on deck. You're not close enough to make out their features, except for one individual who's wearing all black, except you can see like pink highlights on the coat glowing from a distance, and like has a very large black hat with a black plumed feather. And that person is kind of striding around, and everyone else is kind of running around on the deck.
Does he look wealthy?
It's hard to tell from this distance, but it is a very big hat.
Maybe and they are so far you can't really see their faces.
Correct. You'd have to steer your ship closer, but there is a giant whirlpool over there.
I don't think I can shoot that far yet. So I think Jolene is just going to do like an intimidation like shot, just like on the air.
Nice. And you do have gunnery on your ship. Like the ship's gunnery can reach distance if you'd like to use that.
Well, Jolene is like going to go to Lavinia and say, I think we need to start shooting our cannons to them. They are getting ready to shoot right back at us.
You're muted.
Thank you. Lydia just sort of goes, okay, Giles, take over the steering.
It's a team effort.
He just scrambles up from the deck, kind of like slipping a bit because it's wet, trying to get to the steering wheel. Steering wheel. What is it called?
Yeah, it's a
Steering wheel.
Faster?
I'm gonna have to look up some terms. Steering wheel.
I feel like everyone who
hard in my
does period pieces all of a sudden is like, wow, there's so much I don't know about the jargon.
Steering wheel thing.
Specifically because I want Giles to be able to steer the ship while I do deal weapon stuff.
Fair.
So
Very
let's-
fair. You
let's
don't really want
do-
Giles doing weapon stuff. Like,
Let's do a slow time kind of spread of this scene. So everyone's like doing their slow motion thing in this moment. So as the whirlpool catches the nose of the other ship, their primary objective is to not get sucked into the whirlpool. So a lot of their crew power is going towards that. They do still have one of the cannons charged with that energy. And you do see like figures on deck as targets potentially, or, just doing their thing. So that's what they're doing. The other book ship is, it has peeled off, but you can see it's beginning to head towards the K. So seeing that you guys are engaged with this, it's trying to get into the island before you. So it has changed its direction and is using this as a nice distraction to beat you to your mark, essentially. Those two things are happening. What are you all doing? What's your slow motion scene? Or your action, I guess.
I am sort of not running, but just sort of very purposefully striding down the deck, ordering the cannons as best as possible be aimed at the one glowing cannon that is actually going to fire on us.
All right, roll man the
Sort of try to-
cannons and use your ship weapons with your rank with the ship.
Come on. Please be good. Okay, that's an 8.
Hooray! So on a
thank
hit,
you, bot.
on a hit, your shot lands and you deal your weapons harm at cost. So I will send over, I don't know. I think there's a variety of weapons you can have on your ship, actually. But let's just say your ship's a little, it's a little cobbled together. So let's say it does 2 harm from your cannons, unless you're feeling very strongly that your cannons are... Oh, actually, no, cannons are supposed to do 4 harm. Yeah, your cannons do 3 harm. They're special. You got 3 harm cannons. And that will send over 1 wreck to them. So when we do ship battle, instead of health, we track wrecks, and you can see that on your ship sheet. So you have wreck marks to use until you reach to wreck level. So you guys are unhit, but they take 1 wreck. As anyone who gets hit by that cannon takes 4 harm. So you actually do see some of the people begin to go ah! And do like little like flailing arm motions as they jump into the sea. Some of them are injured. Some of them are like splashing around, like looking for a lifeboat. So it seems like you've made some impact.
Ooh. And these people are just a crew. It's just their crew.
It seems like they're a crew.
It's not like the captain's extended family.
Hard to say.
You know,
Hard to say.
vacation warboat. Okay.
Hard to say. I mean, you can go definitely check them out. However, some of them, you see them bobbing in the water, and then you see them get sucked underwater as they're entering into the whirlpool created by Zakif.
Oh.
So some of the floating, bobbing people are no more.
Jolene will just say they're definitely dead.
Ryu from the back of the ship with his pistol says, "Dead," and nods. Jolene, what are you
I
doing
think
for your slow-mo?
I think it just bothers Jolene that she can't see like if these people are like of age. She just like doesn't know. So that's the only thing. She's like, oh well, I mean they were attacking us, but okay, well it's done. And then I mean,
Would you like to
I think
roll
it's just-
Twist Fate to see if there's something that could happen to you that would allow you to find out that information?
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah, roll plus your Spitfire.
Let's see what my
See if you can twist your fate here.
Let's see. Wow, that's a 10.
Nice. So on a hit, you can pick one of the following options. So I'll put them in our Discord chat.
Also, I hope you liked the picture of what's his name? Of James Delacroix.
That is completely what I was thinking. I wish I could show stream, but I do not have the rights to any of these photos. But whatever you're thinking,
I
chat,
can make a cartoon version for next time.
of
We'll
the
just
crew.
Make him, yeah.
It's
All of our
absolutely
new
James.
NPCs.
He needs the mustache, though. The mustache is very
Yes.
important.
Yes.
Growing it
Which
up.
one of those questions?
I'm thinking you find a flaw or vulnerability in your opponent. Describe it.
Okay. So as you're trying to twist fate here and think about the identity of the crew, what is the flaw or vulnerability as you study this crew? Like, what do you think Jolene sees? And this can be something positive, this can be something to your advantage, or just simply some information you'd like to know.
So do I get to like ask that question as to what I want to know, or do I get to create what
You
I
get
think
to
their
create
flaw
it
is?
because you succeeded. Yeah. If you had failed, I get to create it. And as the world, I'm either, if you fail, the world is kind of against you. So it would not be good if
Okay.
I did it.
So I think that the reason why I had those doubts is because their crew, they are of age, but they are so like malnourished and young and unexperienced. Like it's just like a cheap crew. So like that's why they look like they don't know what they're doing. They look very young. So I think that's their biggest flaw. They have like a lot of their crew are just unexperienced and too young.
And this is something that you're able to discern from a distance, as you're just able to like read the body language of kind of like the people on the deck instead of being like well practiced. I mean, you just watched Ryu like do the gunnery for a little while and he was very well practiced at it. These people are like just flailing and like pushing each other, and some of them are getting into fights as they're trying to move around the ship. They do seem young and inexperienced, which is comforting to you from a tactical level, but is disquieting to you on a personal level as you realize some of them are quite young. And you see
A
the
little
black
bit.
hatted folk, the guy with the big plume, like stride up to some of them, and you see him strike some of them against their cheek, Doosh! Telling them like, get back to work, kind of a thing, as the ship begins to turn and creak in this whirlpool. Anything else you'd like to do for your slow-mo action?
I think, yeah, no. I can't think of anything because we're like kind of far from the ship, so she can't take any action. So maybe she'll go to where the cannons are being loaded, and she'll just like want to be part of that action.
Sounds good. So you join, probably it's Rolf. Actually, the picture you shared, I was actually thinking that's more Rolf. Rolf is the conventionally good-looking guy. James, I got like more of like a Weasley kind of vibe. I don't know, especially with
Me
the
too.
little mustache. But yes, probably with Rolf, and Rolf is just like loading the cannonballs in, and you see like he's got like the sweat dripping down his brow, and he's like muscles bulging, and he like looks at you and like freeze frames and like gives a gleaming smile, and like the sun just like glints off his teeth, and he's like, and does like a little dashing look.
Hey, Rolf. I'm here to help you.
In the background, screams, crying, people diving into the water, drowning, explosions. And Rolf smiles. Sounds great, Jolene.
Oh my god.
Okay, so she'll actually get started like loading up some stuff.
Jolene and Rolf load the cannon with chaos in the background, which is becoming a theme on the ship. What is the Keef's slow-mo action? And we'll have those cannons ready to fire for you, Jolene, if you'd like to fire on the next scene.
The Keith's slow-mo action is continuing to read the book, because that's what he has to do to keep the whirlpool going. And I think when reading his magical books, he goes into a similar sort of trance as Giles does when he talks to Frank. So kind of like the eyes have like this magical glow, and he's just standing there reading the book and doesn't really get what's happening around.
It looks very cool as Zaki floating in the air, speaking a language that no one understands. Sonar's voice kind of like echoing all throughout the ship as this language weaves with the air around you guys, winds whipping as the whirlpool is summoned. Looks very formidable as this genie is just like floating above the ship. Kind of cool. And what about Giles? Slow-mo?
Giles has been thrown into the steering part of the ship. I don't know if there's any like column or anything like that he can like anchor himself to, because he's kind of made of jelly compared to like Lavinia. He's just gonna be swept away by something if he's not careful enough.
You probably have a Giles rope, like a rope that's been specifically installed for you to keep you
like,
tethered.
It's like a little like one of those little eyelet things that are like metal, like into the bottom, like the deck that I just lock myself into. I already have it tied to my waist. I mean, it's just a default thing for me. That I just like lock myself into, and I'm like try to like grab the steering wheel and I mean, I don't want to go into the whirlpool. I also want to go to the lagoon, and I also don't want to get hit by the Dayglow. So
Sounds like you need to make a roll to steer the ship
I need
roll.
to make a roll.
Go ahead and roll
roll-
plus your
it's-
rank with the ship
Okay. 2d6.
to see how all those questions resolve.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Good or
Ooh,
bad?
We're dead.
What is it?
4.
4!
It was I rolled a 1 and a 1, and then +2 for my rank with the ship. Oh, I'm gonna die.
So, as you steer the ship, you feel a current from the whirlpool
RIP.
catch it in a direction you weren't expecting. You do not get sucked into the whirlpool, but your ship kind of goes into almost a little tailspin, as now the back of your ship is pointing towards the K where you were heading. And in a moment, just for a moment, you see the other ship, the book ship. You see the glint of someone who has a spyglass looking at you guys. You see the glint off of their spyglass as they are booking it, kind of like trying to get there first. Your ship spins slowly around, and you are now pointing towards the other ship of the Dayglow enemies. And
I'm so sorry, Frank.
they have their cannon, their one functioning cannon, which took a lot of hits. Like most of the other cannons were knocked out from Lavinia's first firing. But this one is kind of the last leg on this ship. It fires towards you guys now that you're facing it. and everyone takes probably 2 harm from like shrapnel and just collateral explosion. So go ahead and mark 2 harm as a big pink burst of smoke and dayglow paint splatters into the deck, but this time with a cannonball in tow that shatters through some of the wood that creates the safe harbor for your ship. You hear your crew kind of going like, patch the hole, like get the water out of here, other more piratey phrases, as they are working quickly to repair the damage. However, since your ship is now turned to face this other ship, you see closer the captain of this ship with the big black hat. He strides towards the front of the ship near the mast, and he has like one leg up, kind of like Jack Sparrow style, and he's like leaning casually. And you see this big grin on his face, just like this shit-eating grin. He has glasses that reflect, so like those mirrored aviators kind of glasses. And he has a black bandana across his forehead that's covered in like dayglow orange splatters. And he smiles and snaps his fingers, and all of the pink paint that's on all of you begins to glow, and you start to feel it begin to burn.
Oh, I knew this was coming.
And
Is our ship bigger than his ship?
Your ship is bigger than his ship. And at that moment, speaking of, you hear from below deck, "What do you mean we're fighting?" As James has finally been alerted to the fact that there is a battle. And will perhaps join you as we pick up with this adventure next Sunday to see where our crew goes next and what fate befalls them in this ship battle with all sorts of hullabaloo happening. But yes, I'm going to put on our piratey theme.
Yes, and Jillian is going to get nursed by James because she's hurt. Her skin is burning.
Well, technically you'd be nursed by Swab, but Swab is used to being the one that isn't
He's
the
just
preferred.
handing everything over to James, and James is just doing it because he's like, I know that it's. Here you go.
Swab's like, I'm the one with the experience. Like, why does no one want to be helped by me?
James is like, nurse, hand me the bandages. Like, very
Not
much
on my
James'
ship.
vibe. Thinking he's now the doctor healer on the ship.
Oh my gosh. But I had such a good time playing with you guys. I'd like us to end with, I guess, just like what's running through your character's head in this moment as the burning begins to happen from the pink paint, and you see like the mirrored sunglasses of this guy, and you see the bookship kind of beating you towards your destination. What's going through your character's head? Real quick, let's hear from Zakith.
The burning is going to rip Zakith out of his magical reading runs, and I guess the whirlpool is going to stop, and he will panic, probably.
Jolene.
Yeah, I think she's like, she wants to get this fight done with, and now she's vengeful because like her skin is burning, so of course like she's getting like the attention she needs, but then like after that she's just going to be vicious, and she'll probably want to like either get the other guy to apologize or burn.
Yeah. So we'll start with a
Those
compel for you to go into your weakness of vengeance.
Yes.
Awesome. Lavinia.
Is I think almost because while we're on we need to decide what my magical tattoo does. Because depending on what it does, this might turn out differently. But I think she's sort of feeling that burning and just getting very angry and is sort of just clenching her hand on her weapon and is very tempted to just be like, you know, if we get close enough, I can just jump over there and smack this dude.
Awesome. Does that trigger one of your weaknesses as well? The rage?
I have pissed, which is technically, it's when I'm insulted.
Okay.
It's not actually,
we can arrange that.
Yeah, I mean, that'll almost certainly happen.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's specifically, I think, for like being insulted.
Awesome. Giles.
I think Giles in this moment is questioning every decision that's brought him to this point. He's like, I could have stayed behind a desk. I could have researched something far less dangerous than this. My mother always told me that I was searching for trouble. just questioning everything and be like, this is why no one gives me responsibility for things. Don't make me steer. And that's what's going through his mind. Is like, this seems on par, but also terrible.
Awesome. And then in the last scene, huffing and puffing from below deck, wearing a chef's apron with all of the swords, kind of like the belt has been affixed on the exterior of the chef's apron. So now there's like meat cleavers and things added to it. 2 cleavers in hand, 1 knife in his teeth is James. And he's like, I'm here. And that's where we'll pick up next Sunday. Thank you all so much. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us today. Join us on Sunday, 9:30 Central Time next week to pick up with these Rapscallions, and we'll see what happens next. But have a great rest of your day, everyone.
So fun. Thank you so much, Alice.